Thanks for joining me for a Kick Up the Arts. I'm Nicola Meehan, and as we fire headlong into a month of madness at the Edinburgh Festivals, I am joined by Scottish theatre revolutionaries Gridiron to chat about their Fringe adaptation of Andrew O'Hagan's Mayflies and about their 30 years and counting of bringing brilliant drama to our stages and beyond. When Andrew launched Mayflies back in 2020, the novel's tale of friendship, masculinity, youth, getting older and mortality all played out to a glorious 80s indie soundtrack floored so many of us, as did Andrea Gibb's TV adaptation with Tony Curran and Martin Compston in the starring roles as Tully and Jimmy, aka Noodles. We meet them as young men in Ayrshire and then again later in life faced with a devastating diagnosis and an impossible choice. As well as raising the roof in venues with shows like June Carter Cash in cahoots with the National Theatre of Scotland, Gridiron's world-renowned site-specific theatre has included underground promenade trips like the Bloody Chamber, while their earlier reflection on young men, friendship and 1980s Ayrshire, Decky Does A Bronco, started life in a Paisley park. Mayflies is being staged in a converted warehouse, Browns of Leith, as adapted and directed by Ben Harrison, produced by Jude Doherty and soundtrack by the legendary DPJ aka David Paul Jones. I caught up with Jude and with Ben to reflect on Mayflies and 3 decades of Gridiron. So we're getting a little bit nostalgic whilst we're always looking forward. Okay, and Ben, the last time I saw you feels like a long time ago, maybe January 2025.
It was indeed, yes.
And you can listen back on the Kick Up the Arts. We were chatting about Bethlehem Calling.
Indeed,
about
yes.
other things.
Yes.
Does that feel like a long time ago?
Feels like more than a year and a half ago, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So imagine what it must feel like to me, Jude, to remember, I think, a time I at least attempted to lead you astray. 2004, the Critics Award for Theatre in Scotland in Stirling. At the toll booth, Gridiron, rightly, swept the boards. Maybe those eyes, that mouth. And I took you all to the pub afterwards because Stirling is my local. That's my gaff. That's my pub.
That was quite a Critics Awards, I think, and we thank you very much for your hospitality and for showing us the lights of Stirling. I'm not entirely sure that we didn't blot our copybook quite a lot after that with some of your colleagues, but possibly less said the better.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure I was there. I think I must have been there, but the fact I can't remember it.
Well, you must have escaped.
Not.
I was working at the Arches at the time. Okay, yes. So we were up for a few. I think it was Waiting for Godot. We were maybe working on at the time. I grew up in Stirling, so I was like, this is amazing. Joyce McMillan was the party animal of the night, and I'm sure she will not mind me saying that. In my local, the Barnton Bar and Bistro. What a party. And Andy Arnold, who of course was the artistic director at that point of the Arches, was just like, I didn't know how much you knew everybody. And it was like, Stirling's a small place. But that idea of theatre, and I do remember as bizarrely amazing that I can remember much about the Evening Jude, but even back then, talking about the importance and the thrill of a space. And that's something that really, really from the get-go, because you're now 30 years in, maybe just a little bit older, happy birthday of Gridiron. A stage is so valuable, but any space within the right context means everything, doesn't it?
Well,
always has done.
No, absolutely. I think we've been for a long time, and we met even more than 30 years ago, where we were both students at the University of Edinburgh, and Ben was directing a show that took place half in the Bedlam Theatre and half across in Greyfriars Kirkyard, and I was running the venue at the time, and we fought an awful lot about a number of different things. But just but just the electricity of putting actors and designers and an audience in a space that they perhaps know very well or can't, or at a time when they can't actually usually get into it. Yeah. It just brings so much alive.
Yeah. Well, that was something I wondered. Like, we won't, dwell too much on the past. And I love the kind of, there has to be a tension. Okay, you must be kindred spirits because something struck a chord when you met. But at the same time, there needs to be a tension because if you're too similar, you just kind of encourage each other the whole time and never get round to it. What's your memory of first kind of crossing Judith's path, or kind of like artistically going, this could be something?
Yeah, I think so. The first production we worked, so actually, it wasn't the first production we worked on. Jude was the venue manager of the Bedlam when I directed Hare and Burke by Owen Dudley Edwards, which we staged in the Greyfriars Kirkyard.
What year's that then?
That would be 94.
Yeah.
So that's a year before the company was incorporated. Little over a year. How can I put this delicately? The production was in some trouble with a member of the team who wasn't perhaps in the right job.
Nice.
So Jude, you were the venue manager, but you stepped in really, just having Jude there, fixing some problems or doing what needed to be done. So it wasn't. I think it was quite useful that we weren't actually formally working together in that way, but there was
but we had
connection.
Actually. But a year or two before that, Ben was actually acting in a show that I produced at Bedlam, which was Edward II. And we were at one of the after parties, and apparently I turned around to you and said, I think we're going to work together.
Really?
And then completely forgot about it because obviously cheap wine had been taken.
You were tired and emotional.
And then around about the middle of that festival in 1994, I woke up one morning and went, oh God, I think I need to set up a theatre company. I phoned my sister who said, that sounds interesting. Pre-mobile phones, of course.
I was going to say, where did you phone her?
I phoned her on her landline in her flat in Polmont. And I said, and I think I'm going to have to work with Ben in Polmont.
I'm from Stirling, so this is a very valuable piece of detail.
And to give my sister her due, and she has been a member of our board since the beginning in 1995 and was a contact lens dispensing optician, but is now our director of finance. Deb didn't go, that's a mad idea. She went, how do we do that then? And I think that was the thing, but she also said, how do we do that? And from the very start, there's been this great sense of family and camaraderie and excitement and support around the possibility for gridiron.
Yeah.
And because it's a bit mad. And it was early days of people making work not in theatre spaces.
Can you remember I love that you're saying that, because now it's much more established. Not just for gridiron, but in general, we kind of take that a little bit more in our stride. But back then, you're talking 30 years. Do you remember how you kind of pitched that at the time? I don't even mean pitched it for funding or anything. I mean, even saying to your sister, right, you phone her up on the landline, you're phoning her into Polmont, and you're going, how about this? Because you obviously sold it to her, and that's how convincing it is and has continued to be on the merits of the way you saw it and the way we could all enjoy theatre. Did you just go, we're taking it out of the...
I don't even know if it...
Well, I don't think it was. It wasn't conceived. We had a strong interest in sight piece work because of this Owen Dudley Edwards play.
Yeah.
And for me, because of this one moment where one of the sex workers that were one of their victims was jumping on a gravestone, and one of the line was, "May your body be corrupted with lust." And when she said the word lust, Edinburgh Castle turned red behind her. And the audience gasped, and so did I.
And so did all of the rest of us.
And it was just the technicians of the castle testing the lights. The timing was... That was a real road to Damascus moment for me.
Wow,
I thought,
really?
oh, wow, if you take it out of a theatre space, magic can happen.
Totally.
But we then spent... I still had a year to finish at university, but Ben didn't. But we stayed in touch and spent a lot of time talking about what we wanted to do, and out of that we absolutely identified that we really were excited about doing work not in theatre spaces, but the main thing was that we were going to be a new writing theatre company. And so you do see, if you look at our company statement, we say that we make work on all types of spaces and locations. When the ideas come along that demand, for whatever reason, a theatre space or a stage, then we will do that, and we get just as excited about those spaces. Not least because they often also have running water and heat, and not necessarily always, and non-leaky roofs and more things which we appreciate. But we were always very clear that but when we have the chance, and what we do, and you quite quickly had expressed an interest in the Bloody Chamber.
Yes.
Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber. So we made one show before the Bloody Chamber. We debuted a show called Clearance by a student friend of ours called Anita Sullivan in Trav 2. And the fact that we went straight from nothing into the Traverse was ridiculous and almost unheard of. And I think it was just because we had a bit of a gift of the gab and we could convince people that we possibly knew more than we did. And we knew a little bit about graphic design, and I had spent a couple of summers working in the Fringe office and stealing every bit of information and advice that I could from the people in the office and the people bringing shows. So we were well starred. It felt really well fated from the start. But I do think there is something really important in the fact that we're really different. Our backgrounds are different. Our beliefs are... Our approach to people is very similar.
You're aligned,
I think.
But you're...
Yeah.
aligned,
But we're different.
Aligned ethically, I think.
And I think it's also important to say we have never been romantically linked. And
that's very helpful.
So I think we're a very long theatre marriage.
The whole theatre companies have fallen apart because people got romantically linked.
I am well aware. And yeah, of course, and that I think that's interesting though, that it's kind of, there does seem to be, it's funny that you've mentioned quite a few kind of touchstones there, Judith, that I think almost ring out right to where we are now, in as much as there is something about place, and there is something about friendship, or there is something about a relationship. You're talking about your younger selves, and even in something like Decky Does A Bronco, we have this relationship with past selves and the selves we are, and which version of ourselves do we resonate with, or do we approach, or do we feel a kinship with, or do we want to feel closer to? And that absolutely rings out in Mayflies, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think the thing as well is that it has gone in a flash. 30 years have gone in a flash. We have a big wall of all our posters up in the office, and we keep having to go, oh my god, was it that long ago?
Yes.
Everything is so fresh. And I think that's one of the things about Mayflies, is that for the humans involved, the jump between 1986 and 2017 will have been a flash.
Completely.
And
how would you, I adore the book. I've spoken to Andrew Hagan about the book. I've spoken to Andrea Gibb about the kind of TV adaptation. Like, I love every version of this. It feels very familiar, I think, to many of us who have, God almighty, been lucky enough to have had a youth and then lived into adulthood, But what's at the heart of the story for you, Ben, and what appealed to you about it?
It is the friendship theme. I was Noodles. I took a copy of John Paul Sartre's Nausea to a nightclub.
Did you?
From a totally, as you can tell from my voice, a totally different class dimension. But I think the wonderful thing about this book is it transcends class, location, gender. It speaks of humanity. My daughter introduced me to the book and said,
"Really?
You've got to read it. All the references in it are bands that you've been telling me about since I was old enough to understand what a band is." So a deep personal connection. And a strong emotional response.
It's one thing to be introduced to it, especially by your daughter, that there's a real closeness there. It's another thing entirely to then delve into it. It's such a powerful book on so many levels. It's also a book about choice, no spoilers, but it's devastating. So what was it like to then, at what point, maybe you can say, and I'll come to your take on it as well, Jude, but like, are you able to ever distance yourself enough from having a close relationship with a piece of art that you see, or do you immediately go, how could that become theatre? Yes. If it's not theatre.
I knew it could become theatre because of the strength of the story.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy thing to adapt, text to adapt, but really because I was so attached to almost all of it, and I've cut the characters in the book that don't appear. You have to streamline for theatre. And I wanted very much to have an equal balance between the first half of the book and the second half of the book in the play.
Which are in different time zones in the book.
Time zones in the book. Okay. In theatre you can kind of interpenetrate those two time zones. You can have them existing at the same time.
I think I'm thinking about something like Damien Barr's in Maggie and Me. They kind of coexisted, didn't they, to some extent?
Yes. It's the streamlining. It's of course I fell in love with Andrea's amazing prose, but you can't have lots of amazing prose in a theatre piece and still keep the dynamism up.
Let's do a play. We'll just read the book on stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Someone actually did that with the Great Gatsby, wasn't it? They just read the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yes, so it was that was the hard nature of the task. It's funny you mentioned Decky Does A Bronco, because I think the two works of art are complementary.
I felt so.
I
really did.
And having directed that, obviously, for Gridiron all those years ago, having that almost as a kind of template of how it might be done.
Okay.
Very different narrative, but that was another Ayrshire boy.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. So it came through. Your daughter suggested the book. You felt it. So what's your relationship with the story? What's at the heart of it for you? What draws you in? Because again, what we need is differing, if you like, perspectives, relationships, enthusiasms for it to make it work. Because if everyone's totally on exactly the same page, I do genuinely feel that in any sort of form of creativity, it's losing a little bit.
Well, I had independently read the book during lockdown when it came out, and I was, devastated and delighted by the book in equal measure, because I think that's the reason it hits you so hard, is there's so much love and brightness and support and ambition and joy. And I was being roadie for one of my best friends in Northern Ireland in 1986, and we were all into who's actually the guy who designed the little cassette image
I've
for
seen
our
it, the Mayflies cassette.
it's the first time we've actually worked together. He's a graphic designer.
That's amazing.
And when we were driving around Northern Ireland and doing things we shouldn't in the, listening to The Cure, which was my favourite, The Smiths, which was his.
I knew it.
But when Ben first said about Mayflies, I went, oh God, it's so sad. And then I thought about it for approximately 20 minutes. I went, oh God, but no, you can really see it. And I think you're quite right, a way into it is Decky Does A Bronco. It's those male relationships, and it's the language and Andrew's beautiful prose and the beautiful way that Douglas writes, and the excellent way that Ben can adapt things and sort of hone in on what we need to turn a full novel into a 90-minute play. And also with the music. And I was still not 100% convinced, because we're really forensic. One of the things that we're absolutely clear about, and always have been, we will not put something in a site that shouldn't be in a site. If it demands the kind of technology or the kind of production support that a theatre gives you over and above what our team do, then that's what we'll look at. So the first question was, where would you like to do it? And Ben went, well,
nightclub.
the Hacienda.
In the mid-1980s.
So I was happily, or not happily, but I was off investigating all the decreasing number of gig venues and nightclub spaces that there are. Knew immediately that it should be a Fringe show. Absolutely felt in our guts. We do a lot by gut. That it should be a Fringe show. But
what is it about the Fringe that encapsulates that? I mean, I get it, but just, and also it is a gut feeling, but it seems so inherently there, because of the audience, as much as the production.
I think a lot because of the audience, because of the intrepid nature of the audience that have always been. Nobody batted an eyelid when we said we were going to take them into the bowels of Mary King's Close under the City Chamber. Actually, we took them up over the roof of the back of the City Chambers, and everybody was like, of course this would happen in Edinburgh in the 90s, why would it not? But the other thing, and this is quite important, and this is maybe a more boring answer to it, is that the public safety and the people looking after temporary theatre licensing in Edinburgh Council, the City of Edinburgh Council, are so open-minded.
And that's amazing.
And have been open, because there's a fantastic man who's still my friend called Malcolm Kennedy, who led that department for many, many years. And his approach was, we can help you make this happen, we can help you make it safe. And you're like, honestly, it really, and we have worked all over Britain, and not every city council or town council is like that.
That's also like a wonderful creative safety net, in that what I'm hearing is, I'm not hearing we can help you make that safe as a boundary. I'm hearing that as a boundary to push. Like, how far can we push it? Malcolm, did you say his name was?
Uh-huh.
Malcolm still says it's all right. Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Right. So that's almost a liberating thing.
No,
That's
absolutely.
amazing. Yeah.
And all he asked in return is that you don't try to pull the wool over our eyes.
No.
Tell us what you need to make happen, and we'll tell you if you can and how you can. So there's this immediately,
That's
this
lovely.
really basic supportive relationship, up to the extent that I could phone him and go, we're looking for this kind of building.
Okay.
Has anything popped up during the year that you think could be of interest to us? And he would go, well, have you had a look at?
Really?
And off we'd go and have a wee look at it. And it's just lovely. And there still is that sense of civic pride and creative support.
Yeah.
To go, this is our city, we want everyone to have a good time safely, but let's just open up as many doors and as spaces as we can.
Yeah, totally. And also to as many people. And you're right, I love you speaking about the soundtrack as well, because I do think a banging soundtrack has been another kind of touchstone, you know, or music. And of course your close association, because you could maybe tell me a little bit, Ben, about the way in which, it's one thing to say, I think this would be a good thing to adapt. It's another thing indeed to get to the source.
Yes.
And to Andrew O'Hagan. So
Yes.
how did that come about?
Well, we had memorialised, DPJ and I, not to go on show, Andrew O'Hagan. Andrew O'Hagan appears as a character as himself in Last Night I Dreamt That Somebody Loved Me, which we did quite recently. And it was around the same time we were really planning the approach to Andrew.
Lovely. Right, okay.
And DPJ definitely brokered that.
Okay.
They were at school together.
So they're that, I knew they went back. Were they literally?
Well, I think Andrew
was
was
a couple of years above.
Okay.
But he's very celebrated as a very cool guy. And Last Night I Dreamt That Somebody Loved Me.
Completely, absolutely.
So I think that personal connection was important. And we actually did a podcast version of that show, which Andrew's listened to. And I think things started to really warm up after he listened to that podcast. I think he felt that we were that the company was the right fit. And it had been, I won't say too much, but it had been with another producer.
Okay, right.
Very different way of doing it.
The DPJ thing and your own relationship with him, I think, is really lovely as well, because again, this just comes back to this almost, you know, the resonance of a space as opposed to a building or a stage, but also this kind of musical, I don't know, this musical heart that is in so much, whether that's June Carter Cash or whether it's something like this, because of course Mayflies has, you know, such a soundtrack. And I love you're saying you're the Cure and Benji Smith, but it's like, you know, if you're rooted in something, and again, it's like, what is it about those bands? They're the ones that literally transport us. We can be two ages at exactly the same time. We can be our teenage selves, and we can be our adult selves. And, you know, I don't know how different or similar the gulf between those two things is sometimes huge practically, but emotionally or mentally is somehow and sometimes tiny. And I think that's something that's in the book. And presumably, I don't know what it's going to be like on the stage, but presumably the soundtrack's important as well.
Very important, very important. I mean, and
there's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it.
Morrissey, of course, is now a rather controversial figure.
God, exactly. That's tricky for loads of us, right?
But for DPJ, well, certainly more for me, I think, than DPJ. He was Morrissey allowed you to be still masculine, but in a very different way, in an alternative way, and gave you a possibility of a new kind of being male.
Totally.
I mean, I used to hang around in Norwich with my best friend Andy. He was kind of. We were actually both Noodles. He wasn't really Tully to my Noodles. Yeah. But he would spend his pocket money on gladioli that he would shove down his trousers. Really? And he had an ear, what's it called, hearing aid. And I had this weird radio thing with a cable. I used to wear a Paisley dressing gown as a coat. And this none of this.
Photos, please.
Thankfully, it wasn't the age of social media.
Whereas my male friends were all going down the daffodil option rather than gladioli, because if you took any gladioli out of your granny's garden, you were in big trouble.
Yeah, that was it.
But I mean, there was a sense in the mid 1980s when we were even females growing up then could tell this is a different way of being male. This is a different way that our male friends can communicate with us, can accept us. Totally. These are different things that we're listening to in the car when we're going to the nightclub, and completely. You know, and all of that is so. I think also one of the things that we were attracted by was the fact that post-adolescence, the TV show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was a lot of focus on the negative male, toxic male behaviour. That this is a way to go, look, young people, human beings are beautiful, and love is gender free.
Absolutely.
And support is gender free, and respect is the thing that's most important.
And it is all that, but also I do think there is something about beautiful male friendship and love stories. And I think there are a lot of various ways now. We're lucky there are so many. Michael Peterson, for example, and the many, many ways in which he explores masculinity and male love and boyfriends, as his book is called. But it's like, especially on the west coast of Scotland, and the time in which we would see on maybe the TV a lot of the time, it's a lovely kind of counterpoint to that. And again, that's in so much of exploring those relationships you always have done. I'm aware you're going into tech tomorrow, so we are going to wind this up soon. But before we do, will we talk about the cast a wee bit? What do you want to tell me?
I was just going,
right, okay, so I will allow you to just run free, because I mean, honestly, I could see it, and you were teasing it, right? So like one would come out and I'm like, yes, like it's so exciting. But you guys can just share what you would like to about that, and also just the way in which people are encapsulating people we hold very close to our hearts, I think, if we've read the book.
Yes, I mean, we took a very long time to cast it. I mean, that's, which we do tend to do. One of our longest casting process is 7 months.
Wow.
A lot of looking at the spotlight and CVs online. We were determined to give an opportunity to obviously young graduates coming out, and so we spent a lot of time at the RCS wandering the showcase, but really searching for them. And we found two absolutely for the young central characters, two absolutely magical actors, Gibb and Curran who just left drama school.
Brilliant.
But it was also about finding the chemistry, because you could have Tully A that wouldn't work with Noodles B, so we did a group recall, and the moment those two did a scene together, that was it.
Really?
We just turned to each other and we just got a goosebump. I got goosebumps.
Amazing. Right, okay.
So it is the chemistry, but then of course you've got to find the chemistry with the older two as well.
That's right, they've got to be a relationship.
So and you've got to believe that the young one grows into their older selves. And so it was challenging. And for Tully, we're calling all the characters just Tully and Noodles.
We decided that having younger and older and just constantly going, okay, older Tully, is going to kind of wear you down a wee bit in the room.
Than old.
That is true. That is true. So we have a wonderful actor, Matthew Pigeon, playing Noodles, who will be quite familiar to Scottish audiences, I think.
Absolutely.
And who was in the development with us from the very first. So we do 3 sets of development and then the rehearsals. Luckily, he was available and really wanted to make himself available. So that's been a lovely through line.
That's really lovely.
And Graham Mackay-Bruce, who's a wonderful actor. I think an extraordinarily underrated actor. So I'm hoping almost as we've discovered. Jude and Curran discovered. I think that they won't have been in a theatre production with this profile, but also I think there's a sense in kind of reminding audiences about Graham.
Wonderful. Yes. And then of course we have to talk about our marvels, who are John McGeeky and Paul McCall.
I love Paul McCall. Multiple or various roles.
Many.
You're a genius.
And John as well, but there's just they're playing a lot of roles and they are so versatile. Both of them, and John will be quite new to a lot of people as well, because he only graduated from the Conservatoire
4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Really?
Yeah. And then of course we have Carmen Piricini and Lucianne McAvoy, who are just, one of the things we knew at the start as well is that we wanted to create an entire team, not just the cast, but the entire production team of fabulous people who we were going to have an absolute joy with. And to a man and woman they are. And it's delightful because it's like we're 30 years old. The Fringe is our happy place. You never know when you're going to do it again, so let's go all out. Let's get all our favourites and all our new about to be favourite people together in one big warehouse, and let's see what happens. And Ben did a lot of work in the adaptation to beef up's the best way to say it, the female roles with Andrew's blessing. Because we couldn't have an endless cast of actors, and we couldn't have an endless cast of characters either. but the central female roles had to have real voice and agency and respect.
Yes.
And we get to appreciate what Tully's mum and Noodles' teacher, Mrs. O'Connor, how they helped shape those boys and how they took them through.
Absolutely.
So it's a joy. It does make me feel a wee bit goosebumpy because we got everyone we wanted, and that doesn't always happen. But it took time.
Listen, last word to the space, right? And then you can go, because I think that's important, right? So you said a warehouse, I love that. Where are you taking us with this incredible production, with this incredible cast, with this wonderful book, and with 30 years of Gridiron? Where are we going?
So you are coming with us to the shore.
Okay.
You'll be coming through a set of big blue doors off Tower Street into the rear warehouse of what has now become Browns of Leith, and it was previously George Brown and Sons Metalworks that had been functioning on the shore for something like 187 years, but like a lot of industry has had to move out of the city recently. I've had my eye on that building for decades.
Really?
Because we walk past it to go to work, we walk the dogs past it, and we also had bits of set made in there. Bits of set for Decky, actually, so it's lovely.
Really? I love this.
And a very important bit of metal work for Letters Home, the show we did in the Book Festival in 2014. So it felt really like we were waiting on that building. And we saw the sign, the for sale sign going up, and went, well, it's just going to be flats, isn't it? And the next thing, I got a very excited phone call from Lindsay, who used to work at the Fringe office and now is the chief executive of the Lyceum, going, I've just been in this building and you have to see it, and I've told them that they have to speak to you. There's Custom Lane had bought it and were turning it into artist studios and cafe and restaurant and bar and all sorts of exciting stuff. And literally, I was in the door the next day. And so you're coming to Browns of Leith, but you're coming to the rear warehouse because we don't like the fancy bits, we like the dirty bits with the holes in the roof. And the building has transformed so much, both on the Browns of Leith side and on our side. And then in a kind of nice sense of moving along, as soon as we move out of that space, there's a whiskey distillery moving in. But I think there'll still be room for events and things to happen. So it feels this is our moment, and you're going to come and help us celebrate everything that is Mayflies, celebrate our 30 years, because we're still here, hanging on. And hopefully just have a brilliant time.
We'll come to Browns of Leith, we'll celebrate Mayflies, 30 years. 30 years. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's go and get our picture taken and maybe do some party poppers and stuff. Right? Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Here's to many more years of the brilliant Gridiron, and here's to Mayflies. Thanks again to producer Jude Doherty and director Ben Harrison, who also adapted Andrew O'Hagan's wonderful book for the stage. Mayflies runs at the Fringe through August, but tickets are hotter than the hottest of hotcakes. That's a well-known saying, by the way, so you'll have to be super quick if you want one. I'll have more festival previews and podcasts from Edinburgh soon. I'm also writing a weekly diary through the festival for the Herald. That's going to run every Thursday in their art supplement. I'm delighted to be back with the Herald, and I'd love you to buy it or subscribe online, or even better, do both. We need the arts, do we not? And I would love you to come to the Edinburgh International Book Festival as well. I'm going to be joined on stage for live music and conversation. I kick up the arts with the phenomenal Catherine Joseph, Lomond Campbell and Kirsten Innes. That's in the Spiegel tent on August the 25th. We would love to see you there. I've also got events with Val McDermott, Justin Curry, the Beta Band Steve Mason, the Rezillos Faye Fife, author Grant McPhee, the Fab Damien Barr, and loads more, and I'll tell you all about them soon. For now though, thank you so much as ever for listening, for sharing, for getting in touch, for commenting, for all of that. Bye for now.